asked me, what is it like to do the voice of a character on the Clone Wars? So I thought I would show you what it's like to do a voice on the Clone Wars, but I didn't want to do it by myself. So I thought I'd bring along one of my friends from the show. I think you guys know him. He's the voice of Yoda. He's also the voice of Admiral Yularen, and also our narrator. Please help me welcome Tom Kane. You know, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that you are also the voice of Admiral Yularen.
Yes, Master Kenobi. You've got to learn to follow the rules, or I'll get very, very cranky.
And also our narrator.
Yes. Empire at war, as the planet Ryloth falls under attack. Generate them. Very fast.
They take our scripts from us. We're sent our scripts about 24 hours in advance, and then we have to turn them in at the end of the episode. So we don't really remember a lot of our lines because we aren't able to reference them.
And a lot of the times they actually email my scripts to me in advance, and they're so concerned about stuff going out over the internet that I only get my pages. So a lot of times someone will say, oh, well, what's happening in that episode? I'll go, I can tell you what's happening on page 26. Yeah, sometimes it was kind of actually really nice because, you know, 9 months later when the thing is actually finished, I can watch it and actually not have a clue what's going to happen. So I'm a fan at that point. So.
You know, Tom, you actually have a really interesting story. Yeah, I remember you were telling me how when you first got into voiceover, you just started making cold calls.
Oh, yeah. I was a bored 15-year-old pimply-faced teenager. And I was living in Kansas City, and in a suburb there on the Kansas side. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Oakland Park, Kansas. Yeah. And I just, you know, there was no kids. I'm glad you're sitting. There were no computers, no computer games, no Xbox, no internet, and there were 3 television stations.
You lived in the dark ages.
I had like animal skins I would wear. So you know, I was kind of bored one summer, and I just thought it'd be fun to hear myself on television. So I started calling all the local, local ads that were really bad because they're all voiced by local FM disc jockeys, and they all sounded like, you know, calling down Saturday, be there, you know. So, and again, I didn't know anybody got paid for it, so I just started calling, and of course I was, you know, really. A 15-year-old sense of tact, which was none at all. So I was like, hey, your commercial's really awful. I sound better. Of course, they hung up. I got a call from a big ad agency that they needed someone to do something for the American Cancer Society, and they thought I was like an adult that did this for a living. And I was like, yeah, sure. I'd have my dad drive me down there. And of course, the producer comes out, starts walking up and talking to my dad, and he's like, no, that's him. And the producer's like, I was expecting a man. And I said, well, I can come back in 10 years, you know. So anyway, they let me record it. I did an old man from New England, and it was a big hit, and I started working pretty regularly as a voiceover guy as a teenager. But I always wanted to do cartoons and animation, and when I got out of college, I went to Hollywood, and one thing led to another, and here I am. So.
Well, you know, I don't think our audience is aware how often they hear your voice. So, do you want to give us some examples of promos or trailers?
Well, yeah, most of the time you guys hear me, it's not as Yoda. It's I do a lot of movie trailers. I'm lucky to be one of the few guys that do all the movie trailers. So, most of the time you guys hear me, you're in the movie theater, and you hear something like, "It's Disney Pixar's Up. Starts Friday at theaters everywhere. Rated G."
You've all heard it, right?
Tim Allen is the Shaggy Dog from Walt Disney Pictures. Starts Friday at theaters everywhere. So,
yeah, I do a lot of things like that. I've got spots running right now for Mega Mind and Despicable Me and Robin Hood and, you know, In a World Now, rated PG or something. But yeah, so a lot of, you know, promos occasionally. You hear me, you know, do things for like CBS television. You know, right after 60 Minutes next. You know, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm lucky to be. It's good to be a voice because you can be anonymous. I mean, I remember a long time ago I was having lunch with Mark Hamill, and he couldn't get, you know, he couldn't eat a hot lunch because when I was in public, you know, 15 years ago, he was so recognizable. The guy could just, you know, it was take a bite and something. Excuse me, aren't you Mr. He's like, yeah, sure. And he's such a nice guy. He would like talk to people and stuff, and I could just finish my soup and it'd be good. But anyway.
Well, you know, what about some of your other cartoon characters?
Oh yeah, I was, let's see, anybody remember
Bubbles, Blossom, Buttercup, you can kick Mojo Jojo's butt tomorrow. Now it's time to do your homework, girls. Professor Utopia.
And on that same cartoon, I was the talking dog. He was a weaselly little rascal. And I was also the creepiest character I've ever done. It was him on the Powerpuff Girls. And I don't know what they were doing when they came up with that one, but it was basically the devil wearing a Santa Claus suit, fishnet stockings, high heels, and he had lobster claws for hands. So I usually leave that one off my resume. But he was like, "Oh, Powerpuff Girls, why don't you come in here so I can kill you?" Very weird.
Oh.
And let's see, the Wild Thornberries. I was on the Wild Thornberries. I was,
Hey, Eliza, stop playing with the elephants. Donnie, put down my cheese munchies. I was Darwin the chimpanzee. Who, oddly enough, sounds a lot like C-3PO, human cyborg relation. I don't think you like that.
well, what else? Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends?
Yes? Who Henry? I was Mr. Henry. Master Blue, rules are meant to be followed. Either follow them or you're out, I tell you out.
And of course, keeping it here at home, I was Lord Monkey Fist on Kim Possible. Yes, I'm going to teach Kim Possible how to peck what I say monkey kung fu. I get a lot of monkeys. It's very weird.
Well, you know, Tom, we have so much fun in the studio, and our dear friend, James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and also the voice of Plo Koon, he sent us a behind-the-scenes look at one of our recording sessions.
Wait, I gotta interrupt something. But he's also one of the voice he didn't talk about, which is really hysterical, because James is about 5 foot nothing and weighs about 120 pounds soaking wet.
And he's also the voice of Fred Flintstone, Bonnie.
And it's like very weird, because he's this little guy with a
Big Fred Flintstone voice.
And guess who does the voice of Barney Rubble, who is this little tiny, you know, blonde, blue-eyed guy in Flintstones? His name is Kevin, and he is about a 6 foot tall, 400-pound black guy, and he's Jabba the Hutt.
Yes.
So when you hear Jabba the Hutt, he's also the guy going, "Hey, bro." So to see the two of them, you got James Arnold Taylor going, "Honey," and this giant big black guy going, "Hey, bud." This is why it rocks to be a voiceover guy. You can be anything. So.
Well, kids, here's a behind-the-scenes look, because if you want to be a voiceover actor, you'll see it's a lot of fun. Let's roll it.